is probably going to shift. We're going to see more and more as the performers begin. Really, that sense of celebration.
Absolutely. It actually seemed very somber to me as we saw the hearse go. It was the first time I sort of caught my breath and thought, wow, because the tone out here has been very celebratory, not disrespectful, but certainly light and celebratory. And then you see the hearse, the casket being put into the hearse, and you realize the finality, the sadness of the moment. They are here now, though. All those vehicles are here. They're going to offload the hearse and put the casket in front of the stage, where we'll see a pretty incredible rundown, frankly, of performers. Brian Monroe is a new addition, a CNN analyst, and also, of course, a long history of working with Jet and Ebony.
Yes, we understand we've got performances from Jennifer Hudson, from John Mayer, and Mariah Carey, and in fact, it should end up with a big celebration, We Are the World, that Lionel Richie will be leading.
Hillary Rosen is standing by in Washington, former president of the Recording Industry of America. Hillary, in terms of the legacy of Michael Jackson, which his family is very concerned about, in terms of new albums that are going to be coming out, the brand of Michael Jackson will continue on for many years and to potentially enormous profit.
Enormous profit. In fact, I've talked to a couple of the estate lawyers over the last couple of days, Anderson, and they believe that given the sales of his catalog over the last week, that this estate is likely to be out of debt within the next few months. I mean, when we talk about, it originally having a few $100 million debt, there's also talk that maybe there will be a transaction with Sony Music about the publishing. So there's a huge amount of money here going forward for Catherine Jackson and Michael Jackson's children.
And at this point, as we know from the will, the money goes to the Jackson estate, which we believe 40% goes to Catherine Jackson, 40% to children, 20% to various charities.
And as was said before, the charities that Michael Jackson has supported have been strong in the African American community and strong with children, although we also know that the trust does not specify which charities will get the money going forward. That is to be a decision of the executors, John Branca and John McClain. So that's an enormously powerful position for those executors to be in.
You saw a moment ago some of the pictures of the perimeter and police making that kind of V shape in order to best protect the perimeter. Certainly now that the casket, the body of Michael Jackson, is inside the Staples Center, I'm getting word the city of LA has actually a website that allows the public to donate money to help pay for this memorial service. It's estimated that all these security and logistical costs run $4 million or so is one of the numbers that I heard. It definitely is expensive. It's been running so far, from what I've seen, without a hitch, but there is a website now set up through the city that if people want to help underwrite it, they can.
And Brian, the Jackson family themselves, I mean, they have serious financial trouble. They have been, many members of the Jackson family have had real financial trouble over the last many years.
They have. They both tried to generate revenue separate from Michael and separate from the Jackson 5 or the Jacksons as individual recording artists. Jermaine was his own single recording artist. Janet, of course, has been very successful. But they've also had some very big challenges. So I think over the next few days and few weeks, the sales of his music online through iTunes and everything else may help recoup some of that debt, both Michael personally, the trust, and may spread over with the family.
When you would deal with the folks who were reading the magazine, and it was such a successful, the last interview that you had with Michael Jackson, it was incredibly successful, and people wanted copies of it, multiple copies of it. Did people talk about the Michael Jackson that they loved? I've had so many people email me and say, well, the Michael that I loved was not the Michael Jackson of the last 10 years. It was the Michael Jackson from the Jackson 5 up to somewhere around 1988, 1990, 1992.
Well, there are many Michaels for many souls. The Jackson 5 in the early 70s and early 80s. Michael Jackson is an individual recording artist. The Jacksons, when they did the big Victory tour, which was so successful, and even the later days of Michael after Off the Wall, which was my favorite album, Thriller, which was the biggest seller of all time. Then they did Bad and Dangerous and
the service, and once it gets underway, that a lot of folks have been asking, well, with Michael's family mostly being Jehovah's Witnesses, what kind of service will there be? Jermaine Jackson eventually became a Muslim after being raised as a Jehovah's Witness, and apparently there was some back and forth with the brothers about what kind of service this was going to be, and they came to the conclusion that it should be non-denominational.
Yeah, and the other big departure was that for the longest time we did not expect the body or the remains, because it was thought to be maybe cremated,
right,
of Michael Jackson to be here at the service today. But we know that changed, and it really changed as of very early this morning when it went over. The police spokespeople came out and said that yes, Michael Jackson's remains will be brought here to the Staples Center and has just arrived. And so that was a major departure from what we had been told earlier.
Yeah, and we talk about some of the names that will be here. Usher, I mentioned. Magic Johnson, who after that, remember the Time video that he was in with Michael Jackson, they became very good friends. He'll be here. He's put out a public statement about what a huge loss this is, not only to him, but to the entire world. Kobe Bryant has been invited to be here today.
A lot of people are a little surprised by that, but we don't know the extent of the relationship
I
he may have
actually
had.
do. Well, they became really good friends, and actually Michael offered Kobe the opportunity to have his wedding ceremony at the Neverland Ranch, and he gave him, he really, according to Kobe, encouraged him to embrace his talent and to try to be very successful in any way that he could. And Kobe put out a statement saying what a loss this was and what a kind and gentle person that he felt Michael Jackson was. He actually gave him a copy, Michael did, to Kobe, of the book Jonathan Livingston Seagull, and that was something that Kobe actually treasured.
Yeah, again, it's an interesting list. I'll just put it that way. Obviously, entertainers, Jennifer Hudson, Stevie Wonder, so many others,
right,
Mariah Carey. But again, you mentioned that the type of service that it is. We know that it will be a tribute and a celebration.
Exactly. That's what the family wants.
Yeah, a tribute and a celebration. And so there will be people who have performances that will be taking place. But again, we do not have an order that we'll be able to show you because it was not put out prior to the ceremony today. But we expect it to be a very moving tribute. We will be bringing you all of this as we watch together, as the world watches together, because this is being broadcast all over the world.
And we're looking at images here of so many things going on around this city. But you talk about the tribute. I know there will be some, Andre Crouch will be here, so there will be some gospel here today as part of this celebration. There will be some religion that is a part of it.
The kid from Britain's Got Talent.
Yes, who sang Who's Loving You so beautifully and amazingly. And they said that Michael Jackson used to watch that performance on YouTube and was blown away by this kid's talent.
Weren't we all?
Yeah.
Weren't we all? You know what else has been very interesting, and that has been the reaction of the fortunate. And I say the fortunate, those are the ones who were allowed to come, that were awarded the tickets, the golden tickets, because they have been celebrating and cheering and camping out to be close to this program today. And it is you hate to use the word as like a concert or something of that nature, but it really has kind of taken on that type of magnitude of something much larger than we've ever seen before.
Well, and I think the family wanted it to be that. They wanted, according to interviews that they've done recently with Jermaine and even with Joe Jackson and even with Janet Jackson, they said that they wanted, this is how they wanted Michael to be remembered, as a part of what he gave to the world, a celebratory kind of event instead of mourning. And they brought in, there's a Grammy producer who produces the Grammy Awards year after year, who will be putting together and producing today's celebration. One of the people that was putting together the tour that Michael was preparing for in London, he's going to direct today's event, so it's going to have a big entertainment quality to it.
Well, we'll speak more about that. We'll speak more about the proceedings as we know them. We'll remember the life and legacy of Michael Jackson, and so much more to come, as we will be right here bringing you our extensive TV One coverage of Michael Jackson. Farewell to the King of Pop. We'll take our first break. We'll be back with more after this.
Farewell to the King of Pop on TV One. The Lens Crafters 50% off my lens.